Images made manifest. Seth says, to act in an independent manner, you must begin to initiate action that you want to occur physically. This is done by combining belief, emotion, and imagination, and forming them into a mental picture of the desired result. Of course, the wanted result is not yet physical, or you would not need to create it. So it does no good to say your physical experience seems to contradict what you're trying to do. When I set my goal for wealth back in my days at Apple, it wasn't even remotely close to my reality. I had to conceive of it and then do something or take action to make it happen. In fact, I did a lot. Since it's a story in itself and told in Beyond the Winning Streak, I'll not repeat it here, but I will talk about the mighty tool of imagination because it's what molds our conception into a working model. The true power that we, as consciousness in a physical reality, hold is latent with our imaginations. Imagination, which speculates upon the not experienced or not materialized, brings life to desire. When backed by great expectation, imagination can activate almost any reality within the range of probabilities. Visualization or directed imagination is simply strong, clear thought applied to our desired goal. We see the outcome we want to experience, we feel it, we live it. We build up the intensity of our desire through focus and assume our goal is happening. We expect it. We have faith in its outcome. We imagine. When Arnold Palmer was 12, he set his future direction through imagery. Whenever he played golf alone, he staged a mock tournament. He pictured the whole scene, from the voices of the crowd to the physical setting. He heard the announcer call him champion, and he felt the emotion of the win. Jack Nicklaus states in his book Golf My Way that his good shots are 10% swing, 40% setup and stance, and 50% mental picture. Whatever we desire may be manifested more quickly by using focused thought during an altered state of consciousness. Seth says, an altered state can shorten the connective time between our creation being formed in Framework 2 and its result in the physical world. Our desire might be stated as a goal we want to pursue, a material object we'd like to own, a statement of belief we wish to solidify, a general request to hear our inner self more clearly, a more targeted desire to receive guidance for, or a solution to a specific problem or whatever other reason we choose. Sometimes it helps to set the stage, so to speak, for working in an altered state of consciousness. Select a quiet room where external noise can be kept to a minimum. Perhaps light a stick of incense, play soft, unobtrusive background music, dim the lights, and maybe light a candle. Choose a comfortable position and relax your body. Close your eyes and quiet your thoughts. You'll want to make your imaging as vivid as possible. But don't worry if it seems a stretch to do so. Words work equally as well as images for some people. So what do you visualize? Do you focus on a definite goal or the bigger picture? There are few parameters that need to be set around visualization, but here's food for thought. After studying probabilities, you know you can force a person to become the love of your life if he or she chooses not to participate in that role. But you also know that if you wish to be loved, some consciousness will answer your call. That suggests you keep your visualizations more open, less focused on an individual and more on the feeling you wish to experience. Personally, I think that's how I'd approach a situation like that one. But I'd also hold the desired person's face in my mind throughout the day, keeping him in my thoughts so that if he's agreeable to entering my space continuum as my lover, I'd be developing that probability. But if no interest is shown on his part, I'd have to remember that my goal is to be loved. So in my visualizations, I'd let love permeate the scene without I'd let love permeate the scene without picturing a pre-chosen individual. Instead, I'd have a vague or undefined figure play the role that I scripted. After that said, however, here's the other side of the coin. At times, I've been very detailed and selective in what I want to see occur, and it has manifested. So maybe the best advice is no advice. Develop your own scenarios and see what happens. Learn when to cut your losses and change your visualization when your wish is not manifesting. Play with the universe in fun. Ask for guidance from your inner self and stay open to possible shifts in direction. What the heck? We're talking about your life. Come at it from this way and that until you hit upon a formula that works for you. Visualization efforts are never wasted. The EE units you generate will be applied to some event in your field of probabilities, even if they don't immediately coalesce into the exact scenario you want to experience. If an event occurs that isn't directly related to your visualization, but still reflects part of your desire, acknowledge it as a direct result of your work. Give yourself credit for your creativity. Change sometimes comes in small packages for a while and then hits big time, but it's always predicated on your efforts. How much does visualization impact the outcome of an event? Once my actress daughter wanted a specific acting role. She applied visualization and eventually was told the part was hers. According to the committee, there was a 12% probability Kathleen would get the job when she first heard of it. As her desire grew, even before she started visualizing, the probability rose to 67%. Then visualization took it to 100%, and the director called to tell Kathleen the good news. In my case, with the Moline to New York event, the committee later said I'd had but a 10% probability of making it to the radio station that fateful night. Visualization came to my rescue. At times, I've done my homework and nothing has come to pass. Whatever it was I was visualizing never occurred. Why? My beliefs may have blocked the desired outcome. I may not have strongly desired it. I may not have held my focus in place long enough. At times the reason is apparent to me, other times it isn't. But I know one thing for sure. If I didn't get what I wanted, the stumbling block was in my mind, and my mind alone. Magic in a nutshell. The magic of life has been condensed into a relatively few paragraphs in this chapter, but it really does get down to some basics that are easily stated and rather apparent when bounced off the structure of our reality. In the next two chapters, we'll learn how to apply the ideas discussed here to personal situations, but for now, just get a sense of how the imagination, combined with emotion and focus, makes things happen. As a quick review, here are some helpful hints on how to consciously form your desires into actuality. 1. Conceptualize your wish. 2. Set a goal for it. 3. Imagine it. 4. Focus on it with emotion, desire, and intensity. 5. Assume it is possible. We've only just begun. What an incredible reality we live in. What a marvelous playground to experience. How very fortunate we are to be surrounded by magic that fills our every desire, supports our slightest whim. We are truly blessed children of the universe, gifted with incredible power and the brains to use it. We all have the inherent ability and capability to walk into our goals, objectives, desires, and wishes with a plump striking the pose of success when and where we choose. That we need to finesse our creation technique seems obvious at times, but we're well on our way now, headed into our personal field of dreams. Look out, world, here we come. Chapter 7. Your conscious mind is meant to access and evaluate physical reality and to help you chart your course in a corporeal. Chapter 7. Your conscious mind is meant to access and evaluate physical reality and to help you chart your course in the corporeal universe of which you are presently part. Other portions of your being rely upon you to do this. All energy at the inner self's disposal is then concentrated to bring about the results asked for by the conscious mind. Seth, The Nature of Personal Reality, Session 627. Consciously creating change. My daughter phoned one day in a state of agitation. At the time, she was in college, and her furniture from previous apartments was stored at her father's warehouse. She just learned that he had sold her washer and dryer without permission because he needed the space. It may have been an inappropriate action on his part, but what Kathleen and I discussed was why she, as consciousness, creating her life based on her beliefs and attitudes, would have allowed it to occur. My ex-husband could not have entered her reality or space continuum to participate in that event unless there was a telepathic acceptance by Kathleen. It never could have happened without my daughter's consent via her mental signals. It was Kathleen's selections of thoughts that led to the incident. A different set of beliefs, perhaps about herself and life in general, would not have drawn in such an experience from the field of probabilities. Kathleen's task became to figure out why she reflected into her reality the feelings of helplessness and lack of control. As long as she continued to thrust her anger onto her dad, she would never identify the real creator of the situation, and so would possibly never become aware of the mindset that walked her down that path. And she also would be projecting her anger and confusion into the formation of electromagnetic energy units, which would then draw more events to her of a stressful nature. Part of the solution to understanding an uncomfortable event, such as Kathleen experienced, is to figure out what within us gave the event the power to enter our life. What role did beliefs play in the situation? Simultaneous time, probabilities, emotion, assumption. Then once we've thought it through, perhaps more to understand the structure of events in general than the one we dissect in particular, we start to get a sense of what's behind our personal creations. We become aware of patterns of thought or core beliefs or repetitive emotions that link one uneasy event to another, even though the event seems to have nothing in common. Once we've identified limiting repetitive themes or decide we want more out of life, the next question that arises is, how do we change what we don't like about what we're creating? The answer to the question is not a simple one-liner. It takes moving from theory and philosophy into practical application and finding methods to put our knowledge of universal structure to work for us in the most fundamental of ways. If we've been given the gift of the gods, the gift of creativity, then it's time we started consciously using it. The practical universe. Knowledge by itself will not bring great change into our personal or global life. Only application of that knowledge can turn a sow's ear into a silk purse, or haphazard constructions into abundance and health. So we'll build the power platform of success securely under our feet by using our knowledge, thoughts, emotions, desire, imaginations, and focus to propel us into our dreams. And that means applying ourselves to the process of change. Because we live in a practical universe, practical steps can be taken that will direct us to where we want to go. In a reality constructed of ideas and fueled by activity, it makes sense that the way into what we want and the way out of what we don't want are built of the same basic ingredients: thought, emotion, and imagination. It's just a matter of implementing ideas that will move us in our direction of conscious choice. There is no one path that fits all, no cookbook approach that leads humankind to nirvana, no ultimate set of directions that prepares the way for riches bountiful. We're all so different, being consciousness with unique propensities, that no magic list is possible. So we will suggest some thoughts, techniques, and exercises that you may want to explore if you choose to, or discard if you will. All of them are grounded in Seth's concepts of the structure of our physical reality, and 3 of those key points are once more summarized below. Consciousness creates form. We are consciousness which has chosen to enter physical reality and play with its building blocks for our own reasons. With every thought and emotion, we emit electromagnetic energy units that join others of like propensity and eventually manifest physical objects or events based on our intensity of focus. The point of power is in the present. There is no linear time per se. There is only simultaneous time camouflaging itself as linear for our learning purposes. Since time is simultaneous and we reside in a spacious present, since we're surrounded by every possible probability that can occur to us, and since the past and future are built in the moment based on our probability selections, which are based on our thoughts, etc., then all the power of life resides in the now. We are connected to a great source of power. Every moment of our life is governed by our inner self, that portion of our greater self that keeps us alive and creating in physical reality. Through its direction and assistance, we manifest our physical world based on our thoughts, emotions, imaginings, and beliefs, which are a combination of thought, emotion, and images. One way we can learn to consciously use this power of creation is by listening for our inner self's advice and following it when desired. Using these concepts as our knowledge base and weaving them into our reality through acceptance and practice leads to the 180-degree reorientation of thinking that is necessary to do what we want, to become whom we choose. They place our feet on the smoothest possible road to conscious creation. So what all of the techniques and suggestions you learn in this book, when homogenized into a whole, will help you do is 1. Focus on the now. 2. Learn to identify beliefs. 3. Learn to change limiting beliefs. 4. Drop your belief in the past. 5. Imagine the future. 6. Monitor and choose your emotions. 7. Listen to your inner self. And 8. Assume you can make anything happen. Please remember when you're working with these exercises that you're doing something extremely powerful. You'll not just be mouthing superficial words or fantasizing fluff. Nothing that we think and feel, nothing goes unnoticed by our inner self. If we act as though we're ecstatic over a future event we're projecting in visualization, our inner self will accept our sincerity and do what it can to make the event happen. If we say and believe we have incredible power at our fingertips, our inner self will start the ball rolling to help us prove the point. All thoughts and emotions create. It matters not whether they are generated naturally throughout the day or put into place consciously. So don't downplay the power of inner work. If you do so, so will your inner self. According to Seth, these types of exercises should be repeated for up to 10 days for maximum effectiveness, or until you know in your heart you've created the outcome to your satisfaction, which could, of course, be immediately.